Today's video is going to be about fear. First of all, let's define fear. I looked up fear on the computer and it came up with 4 definitions, but after reading 4 of them, I figured that this definition would be the best one for this video. And it states, fear, a concern about something that threatens to bring bad news or results. Okay, keep that in mind as we continue this discussion. Now, when it comes to fear, fear is an emotion that I think everyone has at some time in their life. Some people have it more than others. Some allow fear to control them, while others control their fear. And when I say control their fear, I mean that those people acknowledge that their fear is there. They understand why it's there, but they still do what they want to do anyway. They don't let that fear tell them what they can and cannot do. And that's what I mean when I say that some people control their fear. All right. I hear people say a lot that people allow fear to control them. It allows them to not truly live their lives. And some people say that if you're afraid to take risks, if you're afraid to be different, if you're afraid to be ridiculed, if you're afraid to make mistakes, then you are afraid to be great. And I always think about that statement because I'm like, is that true? If a person is truly afraid of things, are they afraid to be great? And I guess if you really think about it, yes, because in order to be great, you have to do those things. You have to make mistakes. You have to, sometimes deal with being ridiculed. You have to sometimes deal with confrontations. You're gonna make mistakes and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to deal with those things. And if you're afraid to deal with those things, then maybe you are afraid to be great because you have to do those things in order to be great. But I think that really that's not that is like a default. Like it's not something anybody thinks about. But really, the thing that I think those people are afraid of is not being great. A lot of people are afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of rejection, confrontation, and whatnot. And it doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't mean that they're like boring, lame people or anything like that. They're just afraid. And fear is not something that just comes out of nowhere. I mean, some people tend to have more anxiety than others, but generally, something had to happen to put this fear into somebody, right? Okay, maybe the person in the past was repeatedly rejected, so now they're sensitive to rejection, something that's called rejection sensitivity. Just the mere thought of rejection causes them to freak out, and so they either avoid situations where they can possibly be rejected, or they react, irrationally to anything that could even be taken as, rejection. Or they could, what if they were constantly ridiculed in their past? What if they were always being confronted and their confrontations never ended well at all? Those kind of experiences can cause a person to be really, really afraid to take risks, to, face confrontations, to, risk being ridiculed and rejected. That can really scare somebody. And it's not that they're afraid of being great. Who doesn't want to be great? I think everybody wants to be great. I think, that's just, everybody wants to be the best person they can be. Everybody wants to be great. But some people are they're more afraid of not being great than they are of wanting to be great, if that makes any sense. So I'll say it again. Their fear of not being great is greater than their want to be great. And I think generally you'll find that these people who have these fears probably tend to have low self-esteem. And one thing about that, one big difference between people with low self-esteem and people with high self-esteem is that people with low self-esteem are more focused on self-preservation. They're more focused on self-protection. So they're more focused on protecting and preserving the little self-esteem that they do have than they are about achieving more and enhancing it. Whereas individuals with high self-esteem are more concerned with, achieving more and enhancing themselves. I think that could be because the people with low self-esteem don't have a lot of self-esteem to begin with, so they're not trying to lose anymore. And the people who have high self-esteem have so much that they can risk, rejection and stuff and taking little punches because they have more to risk. They have more to deal with, So a little loss to them isn't going to mean as much as it's going to mean to somebody who doesn't have a lot to begin with. You get me? All right. So with that being said, I completely understand why people would be afraid to take risks and do those things. But here's what I have to say to those people who are afraid of not being great. You cannot let your fears control your life. You cannot truly live if you're living in fear. Okay? I mean, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Do you really want to be a person who never lived? You have to really outweigh this. Like, this is just a fear. You don't even know what's going to happen. Here's the thing. If you do keep doing the same things, you're always going to get the same result and nothing's going to change. You already know what you're going to get by living in fear. And I can guarantee you it's not fun. Living in fear is not fun. There's nothing fun or enjoyable or freeing about it. In fact, living in fear is living in captivity. It's living in slavery to your own self. Like, you're imprisoning yourself with your own fear. So you already know what you got there. But you don't know what you're going to get if you take risks and you do things and you just try. And you try your best. Granted, you're going to probably get rejected sometimes. You're probably going to face confrontations. And things are not going to always go well. But that's life. And I understand that it's painful and that it's hard. But you can't let that run you forever. You're going to have to keep, trying. And I guarantee you that if you don't let fear run your life, you're going to have more successes than failures. You're going to have more highs than lows. You're going to be happy more than you're sad. I can guarantee you that. But you're going to have the exact opposite if you keep living in fear. And if you believe in God, then this is something that my mother always taught me to say whenever I was afraid or scared. And it was, God did not give me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Once again, God did not give me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So, if you're afraid to do anything, take that as your cue to go ahead and do it. That's what I do. If I'm really afraid to do something, or, I feel like uncomfortable because it's different, I just go ahead and do it. I make myself do it because it just makes me want to make myself do it more. And I hope that this helps somebody out there who's afraid. Don't continue living in fear. Don't continue imprisoning yourself. You don't want to be somebody who died but never lived. That ain't a good way to go out. So, remember, fear is just a feeling. Don't let a feeling run your life. Bye. And I'm about to go eat because I'm hungry.